Creating projects and versions in the Sustain tool. Sustain is based on the principle of projects, and each project can have up to 6 versions. Now, a project might be a particular type of POP or point of sale equipment, and a version might be variations of that particular item. So we're just going to show you how to set up a project and then how to set up versions within a project. As you can see here, I have a single project which I have already in my Sustain account. What we can do to create a new one, I click this button up here, and what this allows me to do is one of two things. I can either create one totally from scratch, or I can copy one I already have. Now, the copy function is quite useful if you have a number of projects which are very similar, so they may only have small differences. This allows you to copy identically the whole project across, and then you can edit, make small changes, and it prevents you having to put all the data in from scratch again. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with entering one from scratch with all new details. So I click this, press continue, and I'm presented with this screen here. So I need to start putting information in now. So project title is completely free text. I can call that whatever I like. At this stage, it also asks you where you would like to store it. So within Sustain, you now have the ability to include your project in a particular folder. So here I have 3 folders set up already. So I could choose whichever of those I put it into. This just allows me to organize things if I have a lot of projects going into Sustain. I may have a folder for each client. I may have folders for different types of jobs, etc. So I choose which folder I want to put it in. Now with this one, I'm going to put it straight into folder 1. Very quickly, if I show how to deal with the folders, there's a small link here at the bottom. This takes me to my folders and it shows me what I have, and I can create a new one if I want to, for example, or I can delete. So you see here, I could delete one of my folders off. Let's delete folder 3, save the changes, go back into my create a project where I was. You now see I only have 2 folders. You can also get your folders from the My Account button. You can see here, that would take me to the same place. Okay, so that, if I want to create another one, folder 3, save changes, I now have the 3rd folder. So that explains folders. If we go back to creating my project. So I'm going to call this one test. I'm going to put it in folder number 1. This is a kind of an aide-memoire, really. It's just a piece of information within the tool. Let's say this is an aisle bay piece of equipment. Description, again, completely free text. I can put whatever I like in here. So, for example, free text for description. So I've created my project. Now, every project has to have at least one version. So when you create your first project, you are presented with version 1. Sorry, the first version. So I'm just going to call this version 1. Again, this particular box is free text. Put whatever you like in here. Again, this is a free text box. Put whatever you want in there. The quantity. Now, Sustain works on the principle that it gives you the impact of a single item. The quantity here is really, again, another piece of information for you as a user. And it may be related to this particular project. Let's say on this one, I'm going to make 1,000 units. Now that doesn't affect the calculations because the results are given per unit, but again, it's a piece of information you can hold within your version. There's also then this box which is asking you whether it's a finished product or not. Again, it's purely to allow you to sort data at a later date. A finished product would be one that you are definitely manufacturing and is going to be sold. You may want to look at what-if scenarios. You may want to run projects through that are never going to be made. They're just design exercises. They're exercises in looking how changes will affect the impact overall. That will be a no in terms of a finished product. But again, this is just an indicative piece of information. When you are setting up your versions, you have to say where the first item comes from, i.e. where it's made, version 1, and where the end customer location is. So Sustain has a range of countries and regions that you pick from. So we have a whole range here. You can see the list. So let's say this one's going to be manufactured in China and my end customer is here in the UK. So I'm sending it to the UK. Again, what the tool does, it automatically populates some distances. So there is a table of distances held in the tool which gives standard shipping distances between countries by standard shipping modes. So this one, made in China, delivered into the UK, the standard mode of transport for that would be by sea, and the standard distance port to port is 11,620 miles. So that's all held in the till. Now, if you know different and you know that it comes a different route or you ship it by a different mode, you can override this. So you could say, I don't ship it by sea. You would delete that and you could say, I'm going to ship it by air. Maybe that's a 8,500 mile trip or 8,600 miles, and I can put that in. You might also say, well, I know that there's a bit of road transport at either end. So it goes from the factory to the airport, which might be 100 miles. Then it comes into the UK airport and then it goes to the customer, which is 200 miles. So that will be a total of 300 by road. So you can build up a picture of the transport if you know that. If you don't, then you can just use the defaults that Sustain gives. So if I just change one of these and then back to the UK, you'll see it's now restored my default. The final thing you need to put in to create a version is the quantity of products. Now again, this isn't related, quantity of products per vehicle or container. This isn't related to the quantity made, it's related to the amount you can fit in a standard container or vehicle that you're using to ship it around. This does affect some of the Sustain scores because the more efficient you are at transporting, obviously the better that is in terms of sustainability. So for example, you may, if you sent a number of items pre-built, you might get 10 into a standard container. However, if you send them flat pack, you might get 40 in a standard container. So again, it's the number you will get into whatever vehicle or system you use of shipping. So once you've input all this data, you then click Save. Now this then puts me into the project to start inputting details, which we'll cover in later videos, later parts of these videos. But if I now go back to my overview, go back to my project, you can see I've now created this new project called Test. It's in folder number 1, and I can from here work on it, edit it, create new versions in the same way. So if I wanted to create a new version in this project, I would just click Add a Version button. And again, as with projects, we can start one from scratch or we can copy an existing one. So let's just show how you copy an existing one. So again, this might be, I've got 2 very similar versions and I don't want to be putting information in twice. This is the version I already have and I make a copy of it. It's now created a copy of version 1. I go back to my overview and you will see now I have my 2 versions. These are exact copies of each other, but I can go into this one, version 1, edit it, change the bits I need to change, and I've created that second version much more efficiently. If I want to delete a version, again, any of this red button here, Sustain will ask you to confirm because once it's deleted, it's gone permanently. Click OK, and I'm now back to my single version. And one final thing to show how to create a copy of a project. We've shown how to create a copy of a version. As we said before, click the Create Project button, and instead of starting from scratch like we did last time, you say I want to create a copy. You are presented with which projects already exist. So let's say this test one, and I simply click Continue. And this has made a copy of the test project. It's copied all the data, all the versions. As with the copying versions within a project, when you copy whole projects across, it's an exact copy. You can now go in, edit, change, and make whatever alterations you need to. So that's how to put projects and versions into Sustain.